Hello, viewers. Today, let's discuss an interesting and a very practical concept that is utility. So, if you are hearing this word for the first time, you must wonder what is it? So, to help you out, here is an image on the screen showing different stages of human emotions. And here it is indicating something depicted as happiness. So, yes, utility is simply called as happiness or satisfaction. Now, the meaning of utility: satisfaction received by consumption of any good or service means whenever we utilize or consume any particular commodity or service, the satisfaction which we ultimately receive, that is termed as utility. It is expressed as a quantity measured in hypothetical or imaginary units, which are called utils. Like it's very simple. We use gram and kg for measuring weights, we use utils for measuring utility. Taking an example, like when we are thirsty and when we drink a glass of water, that glass of water provides us much satisfaction, which is called utility in economics. Moving towards the characteristics of utility, it depends upon intensity of want. It simply means that higher the intensity, higher will be the utility received on consumption of that particular commodity or service. Next, it is relative. Means it differs from person to person, place to place, and from time to time. So we can relate it with a very simple example, like we get utility or satisfaction by wearing woolen clothes in winter and by wearing cotton clothes in the summer season. Next, it is psychological. It is psychological means utility is all about the state of mind of a particular person. Like suppose there is a woman who is very fond of wearing new and expensive jewelries. So she will get utility from that. But at the same time, if there is a woman who is not very fond of jewelries, she won't get utility from getting those things. Next, utility is devoid of social, legal, or ethical implications. Means utility has nothing to do with the societal, legal, or ethical norms. So, if there is a person who is very much addicted to gambling, he will get utility by involving himself into gambling, although it is not socially or ethically good. Next and the last point here is it is different from pleasure. So, suppose you are getting some medicines or injections to get rid of your disease. You must be getting utility or satisfaction, but at the same time, you are not experiencing pleasure because no one wants to have some tough medicines or injections. So, utility is something different from pleasure. Types of utility. There are mainly three types of utility. First is marginal utility, second, total utility, and third is average utility. So, we will see the definitions and meaning of these all utilities further. So the first one is marginal utility. The word marginal refers to addition of a single unit. So marginal utility is the utility derived from an additional unit of consumption. Next, total utility. Total simply refers to the sum. It is the sum of all the utilities derived from the total number of units consumed. Average utility, the utility in which the total utility is being divided by the total number of units consumed. Means by dividing total utility by total number of units consumed, we get average utility. Here is the tabular representation of the three kinds of utility, that is marginal utility, total utility, and average utility expressed in utils. So here the first column is showing the number of units consumed. It is starting from first and it goes till the 8th unit of consumption. Now moving to the second column, it is displaying marginal utility. So on consuming the first unit of any particular commodity, a person is suppose getting 40 utils of utility. When he goes on consuming the second unit, his marginal utility decreases from 40 utils to 30 utils. So it's quite obvious that when you consume the first unit, you will get or experience much more satisfaction. and it will go on decreasing with every successive units of consumption. So at third unit it goes to 20, at fourth unit it goes to 10, at fifth unit of consumption marginal utility is 0, means the body is no more accepting or wanting that particular commodity. At sixth, marginal utility is minus 10. Now it is increasing in negative figures. So at 8th unit of consumption, marginal utility is minus 30 utils. Now moving to total utility. How can we calculate total utility? Total utility can be calculated by the marginal utility received from every successive units. So at first unit, total utility will be equal to marginal utility. Why? Because at first unit only one single unit has been consumed till now. So the marginal utility will be same as total utility. At second unit, total utility will be calculated as mu first plus mu second, means marginal utility derived from the first unit of consumption plus marginal utility derived from the second unit of consumption. So here by adding 40 utils and 30 utils, the consumer is experiencing 70 utils of total utility. At third unit it goes to 90, at fourth it goes to 100, and at fifth unit of consumption total utility is again 100, means it's not increasing from the fourth unit of consumption to the fifth unit of consumption. Why? Because at fifth unit mu is 0, so 100 plus 0 will always give 100. At sixth unit, now from sixth unit, you need to notice here that total utility is decreasing. Total utility starts to decrease from the sixth unit of consumption. Why? Because from the sixth unit, marginal utility is here in negative figures. So when you add 100 plus minus 10, it will give you 100 minus 10, that is 90 utils of utility. At 7th unit, total utility is 70. At 8th unit, total utility falls to 40 utils. Now moving to the fourth column, that is of average utility. At first unit, average utility will again be equal to marginal utility and will be equal to total utility. So it's very interesting to notice that at the very first unit of consumption, mu is equal to tu and it is equal to au. Why? Because here 40 will be divided by 1 only and it will give 40 as answer. At second unit of consumption, dividing 70, that is total utility, by 2 units of consumption, we get average utility as 35. So with the help of this, we can calculate average utility at every unit of consumption. So here is the graphical representation. The data which we have just discussed is now has been plotted in a graph. So here marginal utility, total utility and average utility has been shown on the y dash axis, and the number of units is being shown on the x-axis. So the very first, the topmost graph you are seeing here is of total utility. The next graph is of average utility and the bottommost graph here is of marginal utility. So here it is very important to notice that at fifth unit of consumption, TU is maximum and it is at 100 utils of utility. So at maximum TU, marginal utility is always 0. Marginal utility is 0 at fifth unit and total utility is maximum at fifth unit, that is 100 utils. So this point is known as point of satiety or point of saturation, where the body is no more accepting any further units of consumption, and if it gets further unit of consumption, the utility derived is 0 from that particular unit of commodity. So at 0 mu there is always maximum tu, and then the tu shows a decreasing trend. Marginal utility is always in decreasing trend, and after the fifth unit of consumption it goes into negative figures. Average utility is also showing a downward trend. So here the topmost graph is of TU, that is total utility, and at fifth unit of consumption it is maximum. It is showing its maximum value at 100 utils of utility, and then it is falling downward as the marginal utility has became negative. So this is the graphical representation. So in order to recapitulate, here are some important points to remember. First is mu nth, that is mu derived from nth unit is equals to tu n minus tu n minus 1. Next, total utility is equal to mu1 plus mu2 plus mu3, and it goes on till the marginal utility derived from the nth unit. Average utility can simply be obtained by dividing TU, total utility, by n, that is number of units consumed. Next, total utility increases till mu is positive. At the point till when marginal utility will be in positive figures, TU will, that is total utility, will show an increasing trend, and thereafter total utility will start to fall. Total utility, we have already seen that it will be maximum when mu is 0. TU decreases when mu is negative, and average utility always shows a decreasing trend continuously at the same rate. Hope you have understood this concept. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.